Tonight on America, the Conversation, Andrew and Tim discuss branding for both capitalism and socialism and decide which one is better. Joke's on them, it's capitalism and has been for many, many years. Although socialism has been looking really good to the youth of America as of late. Well, then I guess it's time for me and the rest of the 1% to beef up our capitalist propaganda. That said, how would all of you like free iPhones if you swear your allegiance to capitalism? What? You already have iPhones? What about you Android people? You're good? Haha, no you're not. All this and more tonight on America, the podcast presents America, the Conversation.
Hello and welcome to America, the Conversation. I am one of your hosts, Tim Philippi, and with me, as always, is Andrew Turner, my co-host. What's up, Andrew?
How did I get here?
Oh, I stole you. That is how you got here. And you are not going back home. Well, today, while we have captive Andrew handcuffed to a radiator, we're going to talk about branding and why capitalism has better branding than leftism. Because it seems one has clearly outdone the other over the years. And I wonder why. So to start off, easy softball question. Is there any morality under capitalism?
1 second.
As you drink a Coca-Cola created under capitalism.
Oh, it's so delicious. Oh, it's so good.
And who packaged that Coca-Cola?
50 flavors of it. That's exactly right. Yeah. No, there is no ethical or moral consumption under capitalism. No matter what you purchase or you buy, slavery is stitched into the very fabric of your clothes. I don't know what to tell you. Every bit of food that we have, the variety of choices that we have is because other people are being exploited, whether it's in your backyard or it's across the world, in order to make very, very rich, internationally rich, often corporations and individuals, even more wealthy. And there's not much you can do about that. Like, there is no voting with your dollar when 6 companies own every bit of food that's sold in the United States that's not in a mom and pop shop. There is no voting for your dollar when 5 entities control every media outlet that's not an independent artist in your country. There is no shopping with your dollar when your crypto bros to your GE all buy both politicians on both sides. Like, how on earth are we supposed to compete with these ultra-rich, wealthy capitalists when it comes to buying or using our dollar, using the very system they have created and propagated to make everlasting change? So no, I don't worry about you criticizing socialism because you have an iPhone or because or let's say you're successful, a successful leftist, let's say even a Twitch streamer, and you buy a $3 million house in downtown LA. I don't think that's hypocritical. First off, LA is very pricey.
It's expensive
for a house.
Needless to say,
no matter
expensive.
What size the house. Yeah.
That was what you just described as probably an efficiency at best. A $3 million efficiency.
It's a nice house. He has a nice house, but I mean, but point being is he got a lot of shit for that because he's an open socialist, and they said, well, you buy a big house, and the point is not under socialism is not no big house. Like, that's not what Karl Marx said in chapter 1 of Capital. Like, socialism is when Twitch streamer no get big house. Like, socialism is when people own the means of production, right? Like that, when they own their companies. To put it in the lamest terms, like when we democratize the workplace, when instead of one person making 324 times what you make to do your job while doing nothing, really.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but we all know, anybody who's grown up in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, there's plenty of bosses, owners, capitalists who do nothing.
Absolutely
compared to
nothing.
the daily work you do, and they make 300 to 400 times what you make, and that's even more so when you talk about people that are in the top echelons of the 1%, like Bezos and Musk. Like, they're making thousands upon thousands, and thousands and hundreds of thousands of percent more than you.
Bill Gates, it costs him, if he were to drop $100 on the ground, it would cost him more to pick it up than if he were to just leave it there and like walk over it.
And if you go behind the SS Annie and in Pokemon Yellow, you can get a Mew. Like, I've heard that story.
I know how to get a Mew.
We'll have this discussion again. I don't believe you, Tim.
No, I do. I swear to God, it's coming up in an America the podcast episode. Listen, everybody. You're going to hear exactly how to hack the game and get Mew. I swear to you. And we'll post it then.
What was the Thunder Gym leader?
Lieutenant Surge.
Lieutenant Surge, man. Yeah, I remember me some Lieutenant Surge. Trying to beat the gym with Pikachu and getting not very effective.
Yeah, don't try and beat Lieutenant Surge with a Pikachu. God, go
what
in
am
there
I
with water.
supposed to do? I got level 12 fucking Pokemon here. I got a fucking Butterfree. Is that what you want me to use?
Spend time in the
I got
grass.
a Geodude. That's it. I got a Geodude. That is all I got to go against Surge. That actually makes sense.
Spend time in the grass and level him up, man. You got to put in the time.
God.
Just like you got to put in the work. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Capitalism talks about that.
God damn it. It's literally a saying that was meant to be a joke.
Oh,
like,
was
it's
it?
Impossible. Yeah, pull you up so your own bootstraps is a joke. It's like, do the impossible. Like, it's a retort to, like, what's out of your control.
I thought bootstraps were like those things that, like, hold your socks up. I thought that just meant, like, no. I really, truly did not even give any thought to that. Okay.
Bootstraps are on your, like, cowboy boots. And like you pull them up hard, but the idea is you're stuck in mud, so you got to pull on your own feet to pull yourself out. It's impossible to do.
Oh wow! Yeah. Okay, yeah. Actually, taking time to think about that phrase. That phrase sucks.
Yeah,
but
how
no, that's what Teddy Roosevelt
to the next
did.
Level?
Teddy Roosevelt pulled himself up by his bootstraps, and he became president. The Roosevelt family. They're
famously impoverished,
poor,
hard luck. Yeah,
the famously poor Roosevelt family.
Yeah, poor Roosevelts.
Or the Vanderbilts doing it. They are poor now, except for one not
those
CIA
Roosevelts
spy.
And those Bushes, such a hard life those families lead.
Those Kennedys were just trying to get us booze during the Prohibition.
Hey, at least
which they did.
I miss that kind of corruption, man. I'll take a politician.
I'll take a bootlegger.
Some liquor.
Yeah.
No, I think that there's no way to ethically participate in our market when every job and every product that you consume is inherently exploiting someone of their labor, time, or life, like actual life. And I don't think that you participating in that system just because you're criticizing it should make you feel bad or make you be labeled a hypocrite. Like, what else are you supposed to do?
Yeah, am I supposed to just live in a shack just because, like, I mean,
yeah, you like
certain jobs
socialism,
also
you got to be
pay.
poor now. Like, that's not what it means. Like, socialism does not mean that first off, even communism does not really mean that everyone makes the same pay for the same work. It means that you own the means of production, right? Like, there's still markets. You still sell things. Like, doctors weren't first at gunpoint in the Soviet Union to treat people. Like, that's not what's going to happen if we get healthcare. There will still be taxes and a market. Like, the idea is just that now no longer do wealthy individuals get to walk in and go, because I invested in this place, I now get the vast majority of the profits.
Yeah, see, fuck that.
Even though you do the labor. Yeah.
Even
it's
on its base level, that's like, no, like, fuck you. Who are you? Like, you don't get all of the stuff. You just own the building. Thanks.
It's kind of like landlords. Like, why do they make so much to just own the building?
Dude.
Now, I understand that maybe there needs to be people who are managers of properties and they get paid for by the government to manage those properties, even a nice salary.
But that's just an administrator at that point.
But that's an administrator. Yeah. Why? Because,
not like, some dickhead that just like, I own the building, so I'm gonna, you know what? Nobody gets toilets now for something like, because
well, I just don't care. I'm not gonna fix it.
Or just not fix anything. Yeah, that's what happens in just so many buildings in New York City. Like, where like they even try and force people out of their homes by like doing endless construction in the units that surrounding a person. Like this, say I don't want to leave, but other people around me have left, so they'll just do the loudest possible construction. But I don't want to leave because I have something wonderful that barely exists anymore called rent control, where my rent was set to $200 back in 1970, and it can never go up again, but it can if I leave. So there were landlords now start doing construction around me and make it so unbearable to live there that I'm like, fuck it, this $200 a month is not even worth it. I'm gonna probably have to move out of the city because New York's fucking expensive. And, some of these people have been in these apartments for 30 years because they play dick for them. Like, I mean, way less than any of us pay for rent in Texas. But yeah, and then that's the power of a landlord for you.
Yeah, landlords will also like do a fun thing where this has been increasing in almost every American city. Leave a bunch of tenements and apartments non-rented out so that you can raise the rent by 100, 200, 300% on the other apartments in that building. So especially if you own hundreds of apartments throughout a city.
Oh, right. Okay.
why not say, hey, I'll take the hit of leaving 30% of these unfilled because I'm going to raise up the other 70% by 150%.
Yeah.
Right? So it just keeps raising on itself. And then the local prices shoot up because every other landlord sees on Zillow and apartments.com and that everybody else is charging, that higher rate, and so on and so on and so on. It's why there should be government regulation of and rent control. And there should be better zoning, but there's a tons of
that's
issues.
A whole other thing.
And cultural NIMBYism is a problem. Like there's a tons of problems with this, but the point being is there is no way inherently in our system to be entirely ethical through the choices that you make through what you purchase and buy. You are going to contribute to slavery and the complete destruction of lives in Africa just by buying your phone. Does that mean you're going to be able to not own a phone in modern day America? Like, there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah,
and that's not to get you down, audience. Like you can do something and vote for politicians that actually give a shit.
Sure.
And will actually pass policy, like do direct action, do as little as you can, consume as little as you can under capitalism. I am very much of the sort, like, do not just buy shit to buy shit. Like, it will not make you happy.
No, yeah, absolutely not. You don't buy a thing and then just go, oh, I'm so fulfilled. Like, if you do, there is a whole separate set of mental issues wrong with you.
And buy local if you can.
Yeah, sure. Buy local and help people out there like that. It's more sustainable that way. And you might actually feel a bit more
artists.
Yeah, you might actually feel a bit fulfilled by helping a person who actually needed versus like buying something on Amazon. But one of the things that always stuck out to me is one, when if you're the audience or a fan of the show The Good Place, you should be if you're not. But you pointed out to me that the whole show points out that the beginning of sin was the beginning of capitalism, that nobody was getting into the good place since like the year 1592 or something like that. And they started going through the list. It was like, well, why did this lady get bad place points for buying an orange? Well, that orange came through some sort of a slave labor or some sort of an authoritarian regime forcing people for very low pay. Slavery. It's called slavery. It doesn't matter. It's wage slavery.
Slavery with extra steps.
Slavery with extra steps, exactly. And that's why that old lady was getting bad place points, because she technically contributed to slave labor. So under capitalism, you literally, I don't know if you're a believer or God or not.
I mean, I think that was one of the main parts of the show.
What are you going to do about it? You can't.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
I mean, like, all you can do is do your best to mitigate the horrors of capitalism as best as you can.
Yeah.
But like the idea of like, if I use plastic straws and like I get a hybrid, I'm actually changing things. Not to say you shouldn't do those things. Please do if you can and you're willing. But like, compared to the fact that 70% of like emissions are from shipping, like huge shipping
containers.
freighters.
Yeah, exactly.
And like that corporations make up the vast majority of polluting, and the U.S. military make up the vast majority of polluting. The Chinese military, like, there's nothing you can personally do that, even if all of us united and did those things, that will inherently change this other than systematic change, right? Like saying the United States needs to pull back on its empire and thus spend more of its budget on its people, and like making the American energy grid more green and accessible, making sure that people are educated and have health care. Like, all those things will help mitigate the issues of how we organize our society. But yeah, there's not going to be ethical consumption under capitalism until there is no exploitation. And there's never going to be true no exploitation, but we certainly could cut out quite a bit of exploitation that we have now.
Yeah, very easily with just simple regulation, which brings it to, I guess, the main subject of it all. Why is this so? Why are the leftist policies of and just general communist ideals, for lack of a better term, socialist ideals like that, keep this kind of shit in check? Why do you think they are less popular? And we all know the answer. It's than capitalism. as a whole, I mean, capitalism's been around, I don't think around for longer, but like it's got that stranglehold going on. I think it's got better branding in a way because it invented branding.
As a
really.
philosophy, a named philosophy has been around longer than socialism. Like Marx and Engels really defined.
Sure, but the concept of
was.
just helping out thy neighbor has been around. Like everybody is okay. Like it's better for the community.
But socialism is not charity. Socialism is not help thy neighbor. Socialism is owning the means of production.
Sure. Yes.
Like,
yes.
As a political entity, as an economic structure. So, like, I mean, does that mean that I think Jesus was a proto-socialist and would have agreed with socialism? Sure. I think the vast majority of people that are kind people go, well, to organize the. And by the way, I think the vast majority of people that are long-term thinkers, even if they're not good people, agree that capitalism is not a good way to organize society because the betterment of humanity is better for the individual. Like, period. Like, the better we do as a collective and species, the better I and my brood of humans that come after me will do.
Then why isn't that more popular?
Because there are individuals who don't care. I mean, I would say a lot of psychopaths that are rich don't give a shit about their kids
style folks.
Yeah, like they just want to make as much money as possible. There are people who okay, let me split your question into two questions. Why is socialism branded badly throughout the rest of the world, and why is it in America? The rest of the world, I think that capitalists are doing the best they can to, which is true in America too, but capitalists are doing the best they can to, of course, always argue and divide the population through culture wars, through nationalism, through identity of the class versus the classless. Like, why not be angry about migrants coming into your country instead of the rich taking more and more of your paycheck every month? You know, that's the idea, is like they're always going to try to get you to think about something other than the fact that you're getting screwed over. No matter where you are in any society, the rich are going the rich are going to try to hold on to their power and wealth. So what they're going to do is try to convince the dumb people to be like, it's good the way things are and nothing should ever change. We figured it out. We figured it out in the 30 Years' War. We figured out how to run everything when we still didn't have toilets. It's done. It's over. Like, Jesus came down in the 1700s and said, America got it the most right with the most capitalism, and he wrote the Constitution himself while Jefferson played on the piano. Like, that is what they want you to get to believe.
Romans with M16s.
Now, I think that doesn't work in a lot of European and Asian and African countries because the class divide is so obvious with the like lifestyle that you're given, like right, like if you are destitute poor in Africa or Asia in the 60s 50s 40s 20s 10s, like, and you see literal palaces. It's starting to get this way in America. It's not yet, but it's starting to get that way.
People are starting to wake up.
And you see literal palaces. It's a lot harder to convince those people that, you know, you deserve the class that you're in, and like this is born and made to be that way.
Yeah.
And I think that the standard of American living, because we built this country on the back of genocide and slavery, and most white people who had political power got fucking awesome property advantages because of that, awesome inheritance because of that, up until the point of even today with redlining and the way that our banks treat people of color, LGBTQ Americans, indigenous Americans. Like, I think that it's a lot easier to say, you know, if you're in the 80s and you're a white man, like, yeah, this system's awesome. Like, I'm doing great. So why would I want anything to change? Like, now, I think socialism has gotten a rebranding in America because more and more people are like, I am not doing awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I think that's why socialism does have good branding for the first time in 30 years. I know that, like, you and I never would have we would have laughed someone out of the room in our teens if they openly said they were a socialist.
Oh, absolutely. I'm like, what are you, a Nazi? Like, because that's where my brain goes. And that's
dissociation to the truth.
It's a dissociation
because Nazis are not socialists. Nazis are fascists, which is a far-right idea.
They're just fascists who said everybody should have health care. I'm like, okay, good for you.
That's fascism. I mean, fascism still has like, corporations and
certain sect of the country can't have it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just hyper-nationalism on top of that. Like, it is still structurally organizing the economy in a capitalist way, and the capitalists are the one in charge of the country and the economy. But on top of that, they tell the workers, essentially, that are usually the same nationality and usually male and straight and cis, like, hey, we'll give you a bunch of benefits. You just got to give us all the authoritarian power.
Yeah.
Like, that's the deal. Now, the reason it's not popular in America, you know,
because of that.
Was it Debs? I mean, somewhat that, but even more so, like, who said it? Steinbeck, maybe?
I mean, it's definitely gotten more popular since Bernie Sanders, and still feel
Oh,
like
yeah.
that's the reason like he didn't do as good, is because he's used that term, which is fine. I feel like he should have used it. Now it's in the zeitgeist and has helped people go, oh yeah, okay, I also am a socialist. And even some people
I
like
agree.
you to say I'm a communist. Like, fuck you, I'm a communist. Like,
Yeah, I mean, and I once again, I've said this on this program before. Like, I am a democratic socialist in the streets and a communist in the sheets, right? Like, I don't
Yes.
expect the United States government to become a communist entity anytime in my lifetime, or my children, or my. But
No.
I think that humanity's eventual destination is a communist, Star Trek utopia.
Yeah.
Like, if that should be our goal, is that money no longer matters, that people just are able to live and exist.
Why do people think that's such a bad thing? I never have understood that. Like, oh yeah, like I don't want money to exist.
They're brainwashed into thinking that it's such. I think that one of the main points is that it is human nature to be greedy. So no matter what, even if you have a society based on that, the leaders will become greedy and you will go poor. But the leaders are already greedy in the capitalist society that we have.
Yeah.
And we're already going more poor and poor. So that argument is starting to slowly lose its underneath. Like the idea of also like, well, your children will have a better life than you, guaranteed under capitalism.
Sure.
Also, going out the window these days, like there are a lot of people worried that they will not have a better quality of life.
Everybody's in debt. Like, everybody's in debt. The Obamas are still in debt.
We're comparing America, which is a nation that built its wealth off slavery and genocide, had no major like actual imperial competitors on the continent it was on, was separated by two oceans from hundreds of years of warfare, and was able to build through the Industrial Revolution, build an entire nation without having to worry about any war other than a civil war in which they said, all right, no more slavery, I guess, kind of, sort of, maybe.
Yeah, basically. We're just going to lower their... They have to be paid what?
Compared to Russia, which was
one
a
cent will
fucking
do.
land of serfs with no central government in reality other than feudalism, until the revolution, until the Red Revolution. Like, the reason a lot of people were poor in Russia wasn't communism. It's because it's fucking Russia. Like, it wasn't industrialized. Communism brought about a bunch of industry. In China, communism brought about the largest increase of wealth in history to the vast majority of people who were peasant farmers
now China
who are
is
now
like,
living in cities. Yeah.
China is the number one economy in the world right now.
Model. The question is it worth the authoritarianism that those two states present? I would say no, but I think that you can accomplish those same goals without the authoritarianism. I don't think it's human nature to be greedy. I don't think it's human nature to be evil. I think there are some people who are that way, but they are not the majority. And I think if we organized our government in which the workers had more power, were in control of more of their workspaces, the rich paid higher taxes, vastly higher taxes, by the way, and we had less empire, that would just benefit all of us other than the super wealthy. Now, would it benefit them in the long run as like part of the species? Sure. But I don't think that Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or the Koch brothers give a shit. Like they just want the power and the legacy of it, right? Like they want to know that they run society, and they show that through their money. And the only way to actually run society is to accumulate ungodly amounts of wealth.
Hi everyone, I'm Tim Philippi, founder of Shui Media and the producer of the show you're enjoying right now. At Shui Media, we produce a lot of content, and due to, capitalism, we need money to keep making that content. And that's where you, the fan, can help out. In the description of this episode, you'll find multiple affiliate links that help out Shui Media and help out you as well. You can also head over to shuimedia.com/affiliates for a full list of the affiliate links that help out Shui, help out you, or maybe even help out one of your friends or family members. And that's it. That's the commercial. Thanks for listening. And now, back to the show.
Are they that dumb to think they're going to be remembered, like, positively? Like, we don't remember King Henry VIII positively. We don't remember Caesar positively. We don't remember, like, a lot of these people positively.
That's great. Thank you for bringing up Caesar. Mark Zuckerberg does. Mark Zuckerberg idols himself after Julius Caesar's
because he looks like him. Looks like a skinny, nerdy version of him.
But I mean, I think he particularly likes Antony and Octavian and Trajan. But like a lot of these guys, sure. Like I think Zuckerberg's doing it because he thinks that he can be this like, Iron Man, and same with Musk, like figure of like tech genius, like with a social club. And then
Yeah.
also like all the perks and benefits that come with that. Sure, I think that I don't think Mitch McConnell gives a shit about where he is in history.
No.
Like, I think he gives.
I just think he likes
gives
to
a
fuck
shit.
around.
Yeah, like
That's
I
it.
think he's an evil person who takes money and bribes via indirect ways, and is willing to do whatever it takes to do that and maintain Republican power. Like, I think it varies individual to individual why they do this, Tim. But I think it is with on all their class interests, even the ones that are nice billionaires,
Sure.
to maintain the status quo, because the status quo has brought them more and more wealth since the 60s and 70s, and especially after the 80s. Like, and I think that they are going to spend every dollar that they have, whether that's with mainstream media and the capitalist entities there, whether that's with your politicians, whether that's with your education, they're going to spend every dollar they have to convince you to be angry about things other than the fact that your wallet is getting skinnier, rent is going up, groceries are costing more, and they hold more of the wealth than ever.
Do you feel like it's about to break, though? I feel like it, like with Gen Z and the younger one, who I think is called Alpha. I always call it that. I'm just repeating something someone said once, but it seems right.
I refuse to acknowledge anyone under the age of 25 exists.
That's fine. But I don't know. Those kids all read, though, and they're like pushing to have the voting age
good for them.
Lower.
I'm not trying to dehumanize them there. I'm a 34-year-old white cis man who is single and will not talk to anyone under 25.
Sure, fair enough. But the pulse of the nation of those kids, though, like and I'm sorry that I'm referring to you all as kids. A lot of you are adults if you're over the age of 18. Kind of. Some of you are pretty dumb. But
I feel opposite to what everybody says when they're like, oh, I'm old. I look at everybody as kids. I'm like, if you're over 25, like, I assume that you know more than me. Like, I am still the 18-year-old dumb Andrew in the back of my head with my imposter syndrome. And like, I'm like, I need an adult, like constantly, like looking for apartments. I'm like, I need an adult. Like,
our generation
kind
of got fucked up, Gen Z. So we're sorry.
That's true. That's true. Like, we didn't fuck up shit as much as the boomers or the Gen Xers, and we didn't reap any of the benefits. So don't blame us, Gen Z.
It's not us. But I feel like they are, they're reading more. They're reading more about communism and socialism. They're being more politically active. Like, I'm wondering if it's almost like, in a way, being capitalist isn't cool anymore, and like people actively don't seek out companies that don't offer good benefits. Like, I mean, I know a person who works for a company you wouldn't think is a good company because they're owned by a right-wing person, but they're a subsidiary of this, but they offer full health care. They offer mental health services. They offer reimbursement for abortion travel. And again, this is all run by a company that's technically owned by a right-wing company. Like, but it's because those things are popular with everybody. And my wonder is like, are these corporations going to like is capitalism accidentally going to cause socialism almost through these corporations?
Well, it always does.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, capitalism failing is what leads to both fascism and socialism. Right. Like either way, like it's just how the populace responds to the fact that eventually the wealth accumulates among the very wealthy.
Which feels like it's happening now. Like it's like with all these companies offering these kinds of benefits, minus Twitter, who went fully backwards because insert Elon joke, but like
Emerald Spoon Baby Boy.
Emerald Spoon Baby Boy. Emerald Spoon Baby Boy. That's
we need to make
that might be one of our shirts.
My grandpa owned an emerald mine in South Africa.
So Democratic Socialist in the streets, Communist in the sheets, and
Emerald
Spoon Baby Boy are going to be two of our shirts, 100%.
I'm down. I'll wear an Emerald Spoon Baby Boy shirt.
But yeah, no, I just feel like they're going to. I think they're causing it on accident or maybe on purpose.
I'm glad you're optimistic.
I know it's the Tim being too optimistic, maybe, but at the end of the day,
let me be the good cop with you, as I rarely do in this. I think that for the first time in American history, there is a large section of the population that does not look at socialism as a swear word.
Right, right.
Like that are willing to read socialist and leftist thinkers and implement their policies and test them out and experiment with them, because I think that they will work. I think they've been proven to work in a lot of cases. But that being said, I think that it is true that there is more of the populace now, and the younger you go, the more this is the case, that is open to socialist, leftist, communist ideals. But I also think that with that, there's less of a center. And I'm not saying I like centrism or moderates, but there's less
Sure.
of a center entirely on both sides. Like there are
Yeah.
more young men now that are walking around screaming Jews will not replace us and saying things on internet forums that are horrible, you know. Like there are a lot of more fascists these days. And I think those are both because kids are more desperate. Like Gen Z looks at millennials and looks at us stressing and like sees how much rent is like and how much we paid for college and how much we're all still in debt, and they go, well, fuck it.
Yeah.
Like that's why they're going hard. Like we're going hard because we're like, oh, we didn't get all the things we were promised by our parents. Like we were promised a good job and a good house and a livable wage, and we're not getting that. So what's up? Gen Z already knows it's not coming, right? So they're ready to fight.
Yeah.
And I think that the idea is, do they go far left or far right? Far
I
left
don't think they go far right.
The forward. The far left is forward in humanity.
Yeah.
Far right is backward in humanity. To authoritarianism.
It's just not cool to be a far right person. I mean, there are people who are obviously like it's not mainstream. It's not, and not to even go if you wanted to go against the mainstream, it's still not cool.
Powerful. Huh? But it's powerful.
But it's powerful. It's powerful.
All the people in positions of power are conservative leaning. Sure. Like we've talked about multiple times. The United States has one party. We're just the United States, so we have to have two of them. Like I think that the positive outlook of this is there's more people on our side that are class conscious and realize that all of history is about class warfare than there's ever been before. That being said, I think the fascists are closer to ever than taking over our government. Like we literally had a coup.
They're close. I'll say they're close. But like in general, well, okay, even on the same level of that, and this is not saying that this is okay, but it was we're recording this on February 3rd, like 2 days ago. Basically, the House made all these. Kevin McCarthy made all these concessions to, become Speaker with the right wing of the House, and they wanted to gut Social Security and Medicare, and they were, I guess, ready to do it until Donald Trump truthed out.
Shocked. Color me. I'm so surprised.
Yeah, well, you're going to be more shocked. Maybe, I don't know. Donald Trump truthed out, under no circumstances do you cut Medicare and Social Security. And
Trump's
that's
smart.
their base. But what, like, this is a separate topic.
Trump doesn't believe that they can sell the lie that's
no, they
good for
can't.
them.
They can't, and that's the thing. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, why this has been going on for so long, and like I was about to say, this is a separate show topic. But like, why would they even consider that when so much of their base needs that? Fuck the millennials and Gen Xers. Like, all the old people need the goddamn Medicare and Social Security. And if
the reason they consider, like, the reason they'll consider it is because they have lobbyists that want them to do it.
Sure. Like, it's and now you got Donald Trump saying don't do it. So I don't know.
Ideologically, I think that it once again is a conservative ideal to be like, take away the benefits from the government so that people have to pay private investors. It's capitalism.
Sure.
Like, right?
Sure.
Like, if people can't have Social Security, they have to get a private retirement or they die.
Mm-hmm.
And they prefer that. And like FDR's point was that, like, hey, let's make it where seniors don't die in the street in our country through a program.
Right.
Like, and that hurts people who, maybe are in the healthcare or health insurance, industry, or in the retirement industry right now. Like, and they go, wouldn't that be so much more in our coffers if we made people pay into us with their paychecks, a portion of their paycheck, to make sure they had retirement? That's why they're lobbying for it. It's because people are. That's why they're trying to get a bill to do that. Is because people are lobbying for it. There is an ideological stint to it too, that some of them actually believe it. Like, I believe Rand Paul thinks that it's better that the government's not involved in stuff. I think he's wrong. I think it depends on who wills the government. To use one of their favorite analogies, government doesn't kill people. People kill people. Like, I think government's a tool. It depends on how you use it. You know? And you can do both bad and good things. To mention earlier with branding, like, there's a lot of people who did great things for their nations, their countries, for socialism, who also were very horrible people. Like, there's a lot of very horrible people that are capitalists that have done nice and good and great things. Yeah. But it doesn't mean they were right about the economic system of how we should organize ourselves.
Richard Nixon founded the EPA. Piece of shit. Well, good job. You did one great thing. Like,
look, there are literal Nazis that their wives would say he was the kindest and most gentlest person to me and our kids.
Hitler was a vegan. That doesn't mean he was a good person.
It doesn't mean that he's right about how we should run our society, right? And by that proxy, you can have bad people that are right about their philosophies that still do bad things on the regular. There are plenty of woke, class conscious, misogynist socialists, I promise you, men that are just gross pieces of shit that agree with you and I on everything economically and philosophically, who are still gross pieces of shit. Right? I'm just saying they're not mutually exclusive. And I think that the United States is very good about saying Stalin bad, therefore communism, socialism bad. And it's that's one individual and how he implemented the levers of power in the state. And I don't think it would have mattered whether or not it was a capitalist or socialist structure. I think Stalin, once he got the reins of state, would have done some Stalin shit. Right? Whether he was a fascist or a communist.
He's a crazy person who went crazy and had too much power and did a lot of bad things.
He was a shrewd piece of shit, for sure. Don't get me wrong.
I thought someone analyzed him and he had this guy had two screws loose or something. I don't know.
No. I mean, he was more of a mobster and the classic,
That's
even
still
Trump
not
sense.
good.
It's more he more terrified people, right?
Sure.
Is that they were scared that if Stalin would host movie nights with his entire Politburo.
Movie nights. Oh.
Yeah, he loved American movies. Yeah, he loved cowboy movies. And he would host movie nights and you had to be there. And it was a regular thing that the head of the KGB and the head of the army and the head of parliament or it's not card parliament there, but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
They'd all have to stay and watch these movies until early hours in the morning, even if their wives were waiting for them at home, because you don't want to piss off Stalin. He would just give you a look you're not going to watch the movie.
John Wayne is in this one.
Yeah. And then you're I guess I can stay for a couple more hours, as you said. And he pilled you with drinks. There's plenty of stories about this. But point being is I don't think Stalin was an idiot. I mean, he
wasn't an idiot. He was a psycho.
I don't think he was crazy. Well, and I don't think he was crazy like the Joker. Randomness.
No.
I think that he was a paranoid authoritarian.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of people who have been paranoid authoritarian. There's a few United States governors, if you look at history, who refused to leave office and barred the doors of the Capitol, and had to be taken with U.S. Marshals. And
that's hilarious.
It happens no matter what society you're in. There will be, even if we achieve Star Trek gay space communism, right? There's going to be an episode about a ship that's taken over by an authoritarian second captain after the captain dies. There's always going to be a human response sometimes where somebody who shouldn't be in power gets in power. That doesn't mean we discount the entire philosophy of the system.
Well, and that's what I wanted to circle back and end on is that all of these ideals that are, that these fascist fanboys also it just that leftists also it goes back to that the last two episodes we had about it being popular. These are popular policies, no matter what. You can be a fascist wanting to kill everybody who doesn't look like you, or a leftist who wants to save everybody who looks like you, whether they look like you or not. And it doesn't matter. These are popular. So, which is why I circle back to, how is the branding not working? I can't figure out why this is taking so long. It's an impatience, but it's also it's like watching a house. It's the dog sitting with in the house that's on fire, saying everything is fine. We're living in capitalism, saying everything is fine when we know the answer is right in front of us, and it's baffling to me. It's
I think on all sides. Too long didn't listen, for that one listener out there who just jumps to the last 5 minutes.
Sure.
I mean, I think that, to quote Warren Buffett, I believe in class war, and I think my class is winning. I think that they know that what they're fighting for, right? And the vast majority, well, not the vast majority, the majority of working class people don't. The majority of working class people are trying to survive day to day, get their kids to school, get food on the table, go to work, do a good job. They don't got time to be worrying about the rest of the world, the rest of their nation, the rest of their state, the rest of their community. And things are going good enough for them a lot of the time that they're not desperate enough to try something new, right? And that's been the truth throughout a lot of human history. Until people get desperate, they're fine with the status quo as long as they're not on the bottom of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there is an organized campaign. I don't think this. I know this. There is an organized campaign of very, very, very wealthy people that are trying to get you to not pay attention that they're making more and more money while you work harder and harder for longer and longer hours for higher rent, higher groceries, higher healthcare. Like, and to quote another person, LBJ, another horrible person that did good things and did horrible things. LBJ, like, if you can convince a white man that a black man is the problem, like, you can take $10 out of his pocket, and if you can convince him that he's better, he'll give you 10. Like,
God damn, wow.
I think that it's true. Like,
yeah,
we use culture wars, we use minorities that can't defend themselves as punching bags, so that instead of talking about on the news, like, isn't it weird that you work 40 to 60 hours a week and don't make a livable wage, and your boss is talking about his 4th vacation? Like, the best example I can give is every restaurant owner I've ever worked for, right, Tim?
Oh boy,
has taken at least 4 vacations a year.
Oh God, really? Oh, fuck them.
Yeah.
Wow.
I counted it out. The last 3 people.
Oh no, but they work their way up to there to
restaurants.
own that, so they get to do that.
Sure.
Yeah. No,
Sure.
that's the
now,
bullshit.
a lot of them
that
probably
they
inherited
give you.
wealth. Yeah. Or they've made an exorbitant amount of money, and then they bought a restaurant.
The thinking you deserve
But-
it. That's what needs to get gone. Like, and I know that's just generalized selfishness, but
Yeah,
like
and I
thinking
think
you
that-
deserve it because you did this. Like,
Yeah, the idea, and I think that it's less that they realize that, and it is that the average worker realizes that,
Yeah.
right? That the average worker isn't defending when somebody starts talking about a union. Well, the boss really deserves it. Like, they put the money into it. Like, fuck that. What's the worst that can happen when you invest in a business? You go back to being a worker.
yeah.
That's the worst that can happen to you if you fail and invest in business. What happens to you as a worker when you agree to a contract with an employee? You can lose all employment.
Yeah.
Like, it is more of a threat to you for a business to go down as a worker than it is to the capitalist. Because in the end, the capitalist just becomes like you. That's their nightmare, is that they have to work week to week and they worry about paycheck to paycheck and they don't have health insurance. So why the fuck are we letting them make this much money? I understand even somebody being like, I don't want to work at all and I invested in your business. I want to get paid a salary. Like, sure, for the rest of your life, because you put $10,000 down, like, I'll give you $20,000 a year. And you just get to exist. But the idea that you get to be in charge of that company,
Oh my God.
like, the idea that you get to be in charge of that company, decide what the other workers get paid, decide how we run things, decide what benefits we get, because you put money up front because your daddy and mommy were rich, or you got lucky, which is all your mommy and daddy being rich is, because that's the genetic lottery.
Emerald spoon baby boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a great example. Never fucking invented one thing. Shows up, buys something, claims credit, makes a brand.
Oh, Elon?
And yeah.
Yeah, Tesla.
A perfect
He didn't
example
invent those
of that.
Tesla cars. That was a company he just bought. They were
He
already
didn't
a
invent the
company. He didn't even
rockets.
come up
He's
with the
not
fucking
an engineer. He lied about the college degrees he
Yeah.
had. Like, all he does is
did.
buy companies. All he does is buy companies, change the branding to be Musk brand,
Yeah.
and then acts like he's Iron Man.
He's
and
Steve
never
Jobs.
fucking invented
That's,
anything.
that's all those people do. They just like
Which
Wozniak
all
is
capitalists are.
the one that made
all
everything.
Good capitalists are. They're just branding. That's
Thomas
there
Edison.
you go, Tim. There's the end. The reason capitalism has better branding than socialism is because the fucking business majors and marketers and branders are the ones fighting for capitalism.
Yeah.
Because they are in charge of
Yeah.
things.
The people
and
that
the average
invented
person doesn't have
branding-
time to study Kant and fucking Marx.
Yep.
And like, they don't have time or the energy or the effort or the aptitude or the hope, no matter what it is, to do that. And rich people do. Rich people have the time and the money and the effort and the willingness to. And that's why it's hard to beat that. But you're right. I think we're coming closer than ever before. I just hope we don't fall into the Fourth Reich here in the United States before it happens.
Yeah, hopefully not. I know that Warren Buffett's like, and to just prove a point of like, we don't have time to read all of this. We don't have time to do all this. Warren Buffett takes 2 hours a day just to think. Like, just thinking time. So
A
he
luxury.
like a luxury. I'm like, I realized that along when I read that, I was like, oh, I need to do that. I'm like, but when do I have time? Like, I don't have time to just sit and think. Like, to
You know
just
what?
let
If
my
you could hire
brain
a maid
go.
to do your laundry,
Sure.
if you could
Yeah.
hire a cook to cook your food, that's
Yeah.
another thing. Like, and I'm ranting now, but like,
and we'll end
how
it here.
much of your life is easier when you're a rich, wealthy capitalist?
Incredibly.
Because you can afford other people to do tasks that the rest of us put so much time and energy into. Like,
Oh, but you're
the
a job
idea-
creator then. Fuck off.
Bullshit. And that's the bullshit. Yeah.
And that's the bullshit.
That's what we
the
gotta
lie
get
that
over.
that's the lie that they keep telling us, and they're going to keep telling us until we get either better at branding or start seeing through their bullshit branding. So let's.
I say we tax them out of existence.
Tax them out of it, and you don't even need to do that. You need like a 4% tax to like pay for all of fucking school, and then like another 2% to pay for all of healthcare. It's really like it's.
I don't give a shit. It's the patriotic thing to do. Pay 71%.
Pay 71%. Jesus Christ. God, they told us back in the they used to do this, and it just got.
I'm not talking
lower.
about you, chat. I'm not talking about you, audience.
Not
I'm
you.
talking about the uber wealthy should be paying upwards of 70%. You make over $100 million. Why the fuck do you need any more money when the rest of us can't fucking eat? When there's not public transportation? When we have the shittiest healthcare in the world for the highest prices? Like, why the fuck are these people continuing to make enough money to have dick riding competitions on who goes to space first?
Yep.
When 1 out of 5 American kids goes hungry, when our schools are falling apart, why are we allowing that?
Because Pete Davidson can go with us to space, Andrew. God damn it.
Pete Davidson could go to space.
Yeah, I want Pete Davidson in space going, and that's it. All right, America, we're going to leave. And, you know, Pete Davidson, I do like you as a person. I think you're kind of funny. But, you know, you don't deserve to go to space.
Good mental health advocate.
Yeah, you're a good mental health advocate.
And he's not Kanye.
And he's not Kanye, so good for you, Pete.
Yeah.
And, you know, rep living with your parents when you need to, because, you know, it happens. But all right,
this is a Pete Davidson friendly podcast.
This is a Pete Davidson friendly podcast.
To be revoked at any time we learn something horrible about Pete Davidson.
Don't you go to fucking space, Pete, or you're fucking out of here. All right. You can find us on all of the podcast apps. If you have a podcast app, just type in America the Conversation and you're going to listen to it.
Politi, bro?
Or
is there something there?
Already done that because you're at the end of this episode and have already listened to the episode, or you're a weirdo who starts at the end. You can also find us on Patreon, get early access to our episodes and a few bonus episodes that are going to come out way earlier than they're ever going to see the main podcast feed. So enjoy those.
Wait. If they start at the end, Tim, do they listen in reverse?
Yeah, like Memento. This is a Christopher Nolan. Oh yeah, we never mentioned that. Sorry,
what happens
Chris.
when we pray?
Christopher Nolan produces this podcast.
Yeah. What's up, Chrissy Chris?
I loved Batman 1 and 2, 3, not so great. Mostly because I saw it at midnight and don't get me started on losing Heath Ledger.
Check out our next podcast. Tim and Andrew talk about Batman for an hour and a half instead.
It's a whole episode in memoriam Heath Ledger 10 years later. I think. I don't know when that came out.
Tim, all right. It's been 15 years since 2007.
Fuck, he's been dead for 15 years? Oh my God, wow. Man, rest in peace, Heath Ledger, and, follow us on social media, at America the Conversation, and we love you, Heath. This is show's dedicated to you. Good night.
America the Conversation is a production of Shway Media and America the Podcast. The show was created and is hosted by Andrew Turner and Tim Philippi. The show is mixed and edited by Tim Philippi at Shway Media Studios in Austin, Texas. The show's theme song is by Timmy Two Step. For more information, please visit americatheconversation.com and shwaymedia.com. Thanks for listening.
This has been a production of Shway Media, all rights reserved. For more information, please visit shwaymedia.com.